Alright, so now we're going to move on to multiplying and dividing, which have the same exact rules. So before I actually show you how to do number 5 over here, I'm going to put the rules for multiplication and division. You will want to write this down because you will be using these rules not just for this worksheet, but for many, many other worksheets all through the class on the Casey. Positive and negatives, again, are just such a critical skill. Alright, so positives and negatives. If you have a positive and you multiply it by a negative, then you get a negative always. Okay? A positive times a negative equals a negative. And a negative times a positive is the same thing. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about bigger and smaller. I haven't said anything about which number is bigger, which number is smaller. That's add and subtract only. Alright? So when multiplying and dividing, a negative times a positive is a negative. A positive times a negative equals a negative. Alright, we're not done yet. If you have a negative times a negative, then you're going to get a positive. Okay? A negative times a negative equals a positive. And of course, a positive times a positive equals a positive. I'm not going to bother to write that down. You all know that. But when you see a negative involved, okay, before we do any math at all, you can figure out what the symbols are just by knowing of your answer, just by looking at this. How can we do that? So let's take a look at the problem we have right here. If you don't have this down, I'm about to erase it. So pause and make sure you have these rules down. Okay, so negative 3 times negative 9 times negative 2. Alright, so we're going to do one at a time. So the first two going in a row. Negative times a negative equals a positive. And then this positive times a negative equals a negative. So before we do any other math, any multiplication, our answer is going to be negative. So go ahead and write that in the answer box. If this is multiple choice, if you have any answers that are positive, knock them out. Alright, so now that we know it's a negative, we can get rid of all this out right here. I'm going to get rid of it, so pause and write it down if you don't have it already. We don't need to use that at all, and we can just multiply. So let's multiply. Again, same idea, left to right. Let's do the first two first. Negative 3, or 3 times 9 equals 27. 27 times 2 equals 54. So we're going to put the 54 down here. And we put that negative from earlier, so our answer is negative 54. See, in the next, when I was starting to multiply, I didn't even worry that much about negative or positive because I'd already figured that out ahead of time. Okay? And then I just do 3 times 9 is 27. 27 times 2 is 54. I don't have to worry about the negatives and positives because I already handled that ahead of time. Negative and negative equals a positive. But that's just when you have two negatives. If you've got more than two symbols going, one at a time. Alright, division is no different than multiplication except for we're dividing, but the symbols is the same idea. So let's do our symbols first. A negative divided by a negative equals a positive. So I'm going to put that right in our answer box. If this is multiple choice, any answers that were negative, cross them out because we know our answer is going to be positive. Alright, now that we've done that, we've handled our symbols for the multiplication or division problem, and we can just go ahead and start dividing. So 28 divided by 4. You're going to have to do it long division style. Remember, top divided by bottom. Another way we can write it is this way. Top divided by bottom. Okay, now we can go ahead and divide. 4 goes into 28 7 times. So our answer is going to include a 7. We already figured out that's going to be positive 7. So positive 7 is our answer. Okay, but we have a bonus question. Skip down to number 4, still on the front side of the worksheet, because they don't show you this type of problem in the guided practice, and the guided practice doesn't really, it won't teach you, so I have to add this in. But you will see more examples of this. This is an important one. It messes people up pretty hard. Okay, so you already know negative and negative is a positive, but look what we got here. We've got two negatives back to back. So a lot of people make the mistake of going, okay, negative minus a negative. So wait, 21 is the bigger one, or the symbols are the same, and they just end up guessing. They just end up guessing. So this is what you do when you see this kind of problem. When you see two negatives back to back, and there's no number in the middle. Okay, nice and big and red so you don't miss it. No number in middle. That means you are going to cancel them out by making them both positive. Alright, just like that. So let's rewrite our problem now. Alright, now we didn't touch that first negative because that negative is all by itself. So we have negative 13. And the negatives cancel out into a single positive 21. Okay? When you have no number in the middle of two negatives like that, that means they're going to cancel each other out because you're effectively multiplying them with the parentheses in between them to a positive 21. But don't affect the first negative. Now we solve it like anything else we've done before. So 21 is bigger than 13. 21 is positive, so our answer is positive. Then we subtract them. The symbols are different because it's adding and subtracting. Symbols are different, so we subtract the numbers to get a total of 8. We already figured out it's going to be positive, so positive 8 is the answer. If you have any other questions, let me know.